Joined now by Leslie Sanchez, the Republican political analyst, the author of a new book, You've Come a Long Way, Maybe indeed. And you take a look at the experiences of some prominent women in politics over the last year. And let's start with this issue that Politico raises this in a story today about whether Republicans have a real problem with female voters. We saw Didi Scozzafava get edged out just last week, and we've seen a lot of the abortion issue take front and center recently. Do you think there's a real problem with Republican and women?
No, I think there's a problem with a lot of traditional feminists who'd like to think that Republicans have a problem with women. The reality is that women have changed. They're looking at pocketbook issues. They're looking at issues like the economy, healthcare. Great example of this is the Virginia election with Bob McDonnell. He had tremendous support from women, even despite the thesis issue and all of this that people thought he was a Neanderthal with respect to women moving forward. He proved he wasn't, and I think women are very diverse that way. That's what's interesting about it. We have female candidates. You have Sarah Palin doing incredibly well.
Aside from Sarah Palin, who are other Republican women sort of rising stars that you see inside the Republican Party?
Well, the biggest ones to look at are like Meg Whitman in California, a businesswoman, very successful, moving, has her own ability to finance her own campaign in California. Carly Fioroni, very strong. She had some setbacks in her positioning with Senator McCain, I think, to put it nicely. But I think she's revamping herself. She has a strong platform. She's become more of a cause-oriented person. Good economic conservatives is what you're seeing. You're seeing them in New Mexico. I think Oklahoma's interesting. You're going to have a woman at the top of the ticket for governor regardless. Women on Republican and Democratic sides are stepping up, not in the numbers we need, but clearly in a different dynamic in terms of what their career paths look like.
Do you feel like the next Republican president or the next presidential candidate who's female, that gender is going to be off the table or less of an issue than we've seen it in the past because we've had some of the trailblazers that we've just saw as recently as last year?
I think we'd like to think so, but the reality is probably not. I mean, you've got a lot of underlying factors. You have the media, you have people's expectation. People are used to the idea of women leaders. They see a very strong, look at the high approval ratings you have now of Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. She's not as polarizing. She's very pro-America. She's a bit hawkish on some foreign policy issues. They earn their stripes and they have a much better potential. But still, there's a lot of people who just are going to make gender an issue.
I want to turn to the healthcare debate that we just saw play out in the House this weekend. The Republicans just lost that one vote. They were hoping to just stand unanimously in opposition to it. You saw, though, pushback from the Republicans on this Democratic label of the party of no. They're clearly fearful of it, and they're trying, in the aftermath of the elections last week, to work themselves around it. Do you think they've solved that problem yet, or do you think that label right now is sticking, that they are the party of no?
I don't think it's sticking. I think it's the same thing. The Democrats have been in that position before. Everybody tries to avoid that being the party of opposition. Loyal opposition is a very good thing. I think the contrast and the challenge for Republicans is they have to have solutions. They have to say, our alternative to the economic stimulus plan was this. Our alternative to health care is ensuring families are not devastated by a health care disaster or a catastrophe, but we're looking at what's the best financial solution. We have to have those.
You haven't seen those yet?
They're starting, they're percolating, but not to the extent we need them.
You mentioned Sarah Palin, and she re-entered the healthcare debate just over the weekend with a Facebook posting where she raises again the specter of death panels. They're back, according to Sarah Palin. What do you make of, first of all, that strategy, and also the role that she is playing right now in framing the Republican Party and messaging?
What's interesting, a lot of people would like to discount Sarah Palin. You know, she doesn't have the substance, she has the credibility. What's fascinating, if you watch what she's been able to do as she stepped aside from governor, she's been able to shed a light on conservative issues, conservative candidates. You saw that in New York 23. You see that on the death panel issue, which, to her credit, the president had to address that in his address to Congress. She raises issues.
But it was widely debunked. I mean,
it was widely debunked, but nobody was talking about it before she was. She has the ability, unlike any other candidate or public figure, to shed a tremendous amount of media attention to an issue.
But does she risk backlash then when it was widely debunked from independent agencies that did fact checks on it? Does she then hurt the cause in some way?
Among her zealots and her believers, I don't believe so.
That's
the funny part.
Of course not.
That's the funny part. And there's more and more people.
But I guess to the great middle of the country, is she hurting the cause in some way?
She has a tremendous amount of work to do to earn kind of that she has the substantive chops to be a national candidate. But she has a tremendous amount of time to get there. That's the distinct difference. As she continues to kind of launch up these successes, I think you'll see her credibility go up.
Do you think she runs in 2012?
I never discount the ability of her saying she will.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Leslie Sanchez, the new
Wise
book.
answer.
The new book is "You've Come a Long Way, Maybe."
It's a
Thanks for
great
being here.
title.
Love it.
That does it for this edition of Top Line. Be sure to click us on